The next step is to install the crossbar onto the frame. Now, I'm going to take one brace here and move it over towards the Malletech logo. Obviously, the Malletech logo faces the audience. Take the other brace, move it towards the low end, and then just hold those in position, and I'm going to put it underneath the frame. And I'm going to set that down on the base of the crossbar. Now, here's where you can either get very frustrated or learn how to do this perfectly. We have a video online of Joe Locke doing this, and the two takes that he took before the one that's online, they're each about maybe 2 minutes or so. The next time he took a minute off the time. Next time he took another minute. Eventually he did this, I think it was 1 minute and 21 seconds to get to this point. We've spent 10 minutes so far together, or I don't know how much time. But to get to this stage with that crossbar on can be as little as 1.5 minutes once you know what you're doing. So what we do now is we've got to make sure that the frame is square and that this notch is right next to that bolt, because it obviously won't go on. The instrument's not square if that notch is not next to that bolt. And vice versa over here, likewise at the top end of the instrument, that notch has to be right next to that bolt. In order to do that, you can see the low end legs are a little bit splayed out to the outside. So I've got to pull that in and get it aligned. Now it's very close to proper alignment, and I can take the instrument and I can sway it just 1 inch or so in either direction to get that alignment correct. And once it's correct, you'll see if that's correct on that side and that's correct on this side, then that just popped right in perfectly. And if this is aligned properly, then that pops in perfectly. You don't have to make so much noise, you can do it quieter than that, but for the drama of it, I just smacked it with my hand. Once that's in, then bring up the brace, get it into that slot, and notice that on the brace, if you can get a close-up of this, that brace is countersunk there. So when I tighten that knob up, it goes into the countersink and holds it very, very firmly. So I get that up in here, there, and then I tighten that brace. For now, it doesn't have to be super tight. If you want to go back and snug it up later, that's fine. Ditto over here, let's swing it up in here, bring that brace in. I have these unnecessarily loose for this demo. You wouldn't have to turn it 5 turns the way I just did. You could just leave it just a half a turn loose. Once that's in, I then snug this up. I snug this up. And again, that whole process to get to this position, Joe Locke did on his 3rd try without all the chatter from me. He did that in 1 minute and 21 seconds, I think it was. Here's your pedal. Let's memorize the position of these parts, or you'll have to go back and see the video again. But this top one is the locking knob. Unscrew that, take that off, put it aside. The next one determines the tension of the pedal for how easily or hard it's going to swivel. That puts pressure down on the pedal. Let's take that off, just spin that off. Okay. Set that aside. Down here you've got a lock washer and a low-density polyethylene washer. We've got those two. Set those aside. Now, we could have put this pedal on when the instrument was on its side, and once you know where you're going to position the pedal, you'll leave it on when you travel. You're not going to take it off, but this is just for the first setup. For now, we're going to use the center hole. The Ωmega Vibe and the Love Vibe have the ability to move the pedal left and right for your personal taste. If you're playing here all the time and you're right-footed, you might want to have the pedal, instead of in the center hole, you might want to try it over here or over here. But for now, we're going to put it in the center hole. If you didn't already install the pedal when the crossbar was off, what you could do, tilt it forward and put that up into the hole here. And just set it back down on its wheels. And we've got it. Okay? Then, this washer goes on there, the polyethylene washer, and then the lock washer goes on there. Next thing, the 4-knob gizmo goes down, and this will determine how easily or how hard it is for the pivot to go. And that will lock down, and this thing, once it's locked against the lock washer, it won't pivot. Okay? Then you take this and you lock it in whatever tension position you want. I want a little bit of tension on here. That's what I would want. Some people want to have this rigidly always in the same position, so then you would turn down this a little bit tighter. And then once you have the setting that you want, then you put this on. Just like that. And then I tighten it against the one below. And then that locks it in place with the same tension.